Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the second half of a mission for Star Trek Adventures, part of our ongoing quarterly series with the crew of the Kintsugi. We are taking up after a big explosion last time, but we're going to go around and we are going to get the previously on bits, the slice that we see from the last episode. It doesn't necessarily have to be chronological, but let's start with Donna in our previously on Star Trek Kintsugi. What is the bit that you think we see that involves Astrid Ward?
I think I cannot neglect to mention this glancing accident we have with a satellite in orbit. A rare misstep at the helm, but I think our segue to, oh, this is really interesting, is our realization that this planet is networked and all of the native inhabitants are plugged into this, dare I say, hive mind collective based on
Absolutely.
that transmission.
And Captain Carlton, uh, what is another slice we get of the previously on?
I think it's Carlton just going to take a drink of Romulan brandy and not gore. Can't have gore.
Oh, I
Just a bit of
know,
blood splatter.
but people
And
thrown.
shaky steps. Yeah, shaky, shaken, not stirred.
Right.
As he stumbles to his knees, covered in blood, drink untouched.
Okay. I like that. What about for Drenovate? What is will your previously on slice?
Well, Drenovate isn't on the ground, so I think that the only thing that you get for the previously on is a moment between Drenna and Ensign Adira Lee, where Drenovate, puts a hand on Lee's shoulder and says, the captain, Doc says that you're clear for service. I've got faith in you, Lee. Make sure everything's safe down there. Don't let anything bad happen to anyone, even the Cardasians.
Nice. And what about for Ajaro Meru, our ambassador?
Yeah, I think we have the scene of the ambassador interacting with the locals, uh, pro and con locals, and just sort of like establishing the presence of Starfleet in this exchange here.
Absolutely. We see you in this other costume. We get
Mhm.
the shot of that. So we probably would get a shot of you in the Federation and then this costume
Yep.
so we can get that nice contrast
Yep.
there. And then Latal, what is the other previously on bit that we get?
I think it's the conversation between me and I think it was Nan Parter, one of the government representatives, where detailed, argumentative questioning about this technology, this Federation mass replicated technology that they're using to fix their atmosphere. It becomes apparent he buckles in the end, and it's almost painful for him to say, there are some problems of it. Might you be willing to have a look at it?
Yeah, and that sense that they don't want to reveal this to everybody, that they're talking to you privately, that there's something going on there. I do think we are going to start away from your secondary character here, Fate, because I think there we take up on the like command section of the ship, and there is you are at the security station, and you will pick up a an energy spike of some kind of explosion on location where everybody is at.
Uh, Commander Andala, we're reading strange things on the ship on the surface. It's looking like I don't know. Do I need to do a roll to identify
Yeah,
more, or
let's have you do a roll to generate potentially. We are, because we're between sessions, we lose one momentum, so we're at momentum pool of 3.
okay? That would be with the ship sensors. I
Yes.
think. Yeah. So that's an 11. Which I don't have an 11. But there we go. I'll go with that. And
Okay.
my reason, I think, is the right one for
That seems
here.
reasonable.
Ba-dum-bunch.
I know that's the important thing, is that my go-to phrase, and it's
Which I think would be 11 plus 8 would give me a 19 as a
okay.
roll. Barely. Yeah. Sorry, just the way the Yonder dice roller works is it is hard to tell, when you're doing the ship one, because you have to click on your stats before it will let
Yeah.
you roll. So that is a 18 and a 1. So that's 2 successes, I think.
3 successes, I believe, because 1 is
3
critical.
successes, 1 is the crit, yeah.
So the first success, you're gonna have 2 momentum potentially, is you can tell it's a small scale explosion, but it is the location where essentially your team and the Cardasians are.
Well, I think even before as I'm scanning through it, I say, like, an explosion on the surface where the team is. We should go to yellow alert, Commander. Like, shields up.
Okay.
Not shields up. I think that's an escalation, but yellow alert, ready to do so.
Okay. Yellow alert is shields up.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So
are
you calling for them to go to yellow alert and raise the shields?
That's the recommendation that I think that Vate would make, not trusting the Cardasians. It's up to the commander whether or not.
Well, you're at the tactical station, so you say that, and the first officer goes, yellow alert, raise shields. And I think the moment that you do that, both the Cardasian warships, shields go up, weapons get powered.
Yeah.
You've got 2 momentum left.
So, can the sensors tell me anything more about this explosion, like energy signatures, or whether there was any, or ruling out that there was an outside source, for example, like if it was a local.
I think for one momentum of the 2 that you have, you can determine it was an on-site explosion rather than distant weapons fire or anything like that.
Yeah, and that rules out like a teleported in bomb or anything like that.
Yes, it does.
Cool. I then think I'm gonna bank that momentum, so I'll raise the momentum pool to a 4, because I think that's fictionally as much as this is supported by the scanners. And I'm going to look at the at number 1, and I'm going to say, so we should. I don't know what's going on, but it was something down there. We should get in touch with the Cardasians before this escalates further.
So noted. And we're going to cut back down to the planet. You've seen this effect. There's rubble, broken rubble everywhere. Table thrown over. We've got, someone has set off the smoke machine, and that is all hovering in the air. People are coughing. Who has the highest fitness amongst the group of you that are there? Let's see.
Other than the captain, bizarrely, it could be me.
Yeah, and what is Adira's?
A 9.
A 9. So let's have Adira. You are maybe the furthest away. This explosion, your ears are still ringing from this. People are coughing. There's like smell smoke and fire. Maybe some things have come down and trapped some people. What are you doing?
I stagger up and I look for. I'm heading towards where I remember the captain being, because like
Okay.
that's priority, right? But if I, I am a Starfleet officer. If I come across anybody pinned and in need of help, then
Yeah,
that will take priority.
I think you will see a couple of members of the government delegation that were maybe standing by the balcony, maybe trying to listen in. That essentially one of the big oak like dining table that was there has been thrown over on them, and they are pinned beneath it, even as things are smoldering around them. Do you want to help them, or do you want to find the captain?
They're in danger. Like they look like they're hurt. This could come down at any second. I know what Captain Carlton would want me to do.
Okay.
And that save lives. So I'm gonna. I think this is a big. I'm almost tempted to use the phaser here.
Sure.
Like that seems the more Star Trekky thing to do than to try and like lever it off, right? Use a special budget for a second.
Absolutely. The consequences for failure are a little worse, but yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think she goes and she like slams against it. It doesn't rock, like it doesn't do anything. She goes like close your eyes.
All right.
Messes with the dials. Let's see. I think that's maybe
It's daring and security for firing your phaser.
Yes. So that is a 12. Again, I have nothing to. I keep looking at my stats and trying to jig it so that it's the right ones for the different roles for Vates, but I can't quite make it any time. So daring and security is 8 plus 4, 12. I'm going to burn one of the momentum that I used, that I generated previously.
It's like hand phaser works as a focus, right?
Oh yeah, it would do. Yeah. Well, sadly, I rolled a 20, so it's a complication.
So 2 successes, which is enough to do it.
Yes.
But
can I spend a momentum to negate a complication? I forget.
No.
No.
Unless you have a special ability that allows you to do that.
Right.
So I think the complication is you are able to fire the phaser off, and you're able to get this table off of them. But I think that in doing so, there is at least some of the phaser burn that hits one of the structural things, and you can tell that the room itself is even less stable now. Like it's clearly going to come down soon.
Could it maybe have been like there's the table, and the reason I couldn't shift it was that there was like a collapsed pillar across the top of it, right? And then when I destroy the table, the pillar goes down.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's starting to shake. Latal, you kind of shake, you look over, you hear the sound of a phaser, you see Adira Lee freeing some of the trapped delegates. There's still smoke and haze around here, so it's hard to see what's going on, but you can tell that the room is unstable.
Well, there's an obvious thing to do here, which is to take that other long table and use it to brace the ceiling, and use rocks into replicators.
Ooh.
Allows me to repurpose, create anything you need from the most basic of available components. Once per session, you may destroy a single piece of equipment to create another piece of equipment of equal or lower opportunity cost.
Okay, so I think you can easily grab one of these to use as a brace. It is still going to be a roll to set this in place. I think it's an engineering roll. What do you think the attribute is for this? Fitness? Daring?
I think it has to be daring. There's no time to be thinking too hard about this.
Absolutely. So I think that is just a 13 for you.
Okay, so that is daring and engineering. Is there anything at work here? No, not really. I don't think there's anything in play. Focus is no. So let's how much have we got any? I'm going to spend a momentum to get a
burn that momentum.
A third dice. And then roll. 10, 18, 19. You need to know that the new piece of equipment has a complication range increase of 2. With the complication being a malfunction that renders it useless.
So I think here is what is happening. is you have got it up there, but this is incredibly temporary. Like it is going to go down. And I think as you get that braced, the reason you know that's gonna be temporary is when a section of the ceiling falls and hits you. And you are going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of damage, and you are sent staggering back as this section of the ceiling comes down and hits you and knocks you back. The room is set. You've got the clock is longer than it was, but now you're bleeding from the forehead. Let's go with Ward, and then we'll go Marrow, and then finally we'll check in with the captain.
I mean, I think my first instinct with the explosion was to make sure our shuttle was, undamaged and unsabotaged.
Okay.
But now I think maybe I'm flying to this explosion site and maybe trying to transport people out of this collapsing building.
Interesting. So let's have you make a roll to navigate the ship over to the area. I think that's the first thing, right? That's a real challenge because you're in, a closed area. You're taking off without clearance. You're trying to find your way over there in this complex. So daring plus con, maybe?
Yeah, makes sense to me. What's my difficulty?
I think it's a difficulty 2.
Okay. Do I wonder if precision maneuvering helps out here?
100%.
Okay. I don't think of
14-4.
14-4. Okay. That is 1 success. So I hit it right with.
So it's difficulty 2. You got 1 success, right?
Yeah. So precision maneuvering reduces the difficulty of the task by 1.
Oh, that's right. It does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought it was a focus, but now, yeah. So that is just enough. So essentially, you will come around, and you can see there's people on the ground watching. You'll see Bajorans there. You'll see some members of the government officials who are around, both on the ground and up here. And you will maneuver out where there's kind of this cloud of smoke emerging. You can see that that there's not much left of this balcony. And it's hard to tell what's going on, but you can get yourself in there so that soon you can do that transporter lock. Jaro, Ambassador, what are you doing?
First I'm going to decline that spam call, and then I'm going to survey. I think Jaro snaps into kind of trying to look at all the pieces.
Okay.
And it's almost just kind of stuck in this slow motion field, and is looking to see who's what, when, who's looking where, and just kind of their brain is just profiling the area.
Absolutely. Let's have you make a roll. This feels like insight, right?
Sure.
Does this feel like science? Does it feel like medicine? Does it feel like security for doing this kind of surveillance?
Yeah, I feel like it's security. Come on. I'm trying to get my dice roller thing to change who I am. There we go.
Got it? Yeah. So that would be a 14/3 because you've got that criminalistics. So let's have you roll.
Yeah, let's try that. Okay. Science. So my security. There we go. All right. And then let's see. Criminalistics, so I add another die. Okay.
No, the criminalistics gives you the focus, so a 3 or less counts as 2 successes.
I got 2 1s and a 15.
Okay, so did you spend a momentum for an extra die?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can. I did not.
Yeah.
I don't even have
Go,
a
go,
momentum.
go ahead. Go ahead and spend the momentum that's on the character sheet, because the criminalistics that you have that as a focus just means that anything that rolls a 3 or less in this case would be 2 successes. So right now you've got 4 successes.
Oh, okay.
So let me give you some basic information, which would be the difficulty 1. So present in the room, you can see the captain is there, kind of hanging on what's left of the balcony. You'll see Lital bracing the room. You'll see that there are those 2 government members that are there. You'll see the 2 rebel representatives are there, and one of them is clearly getting up and like grabbing a knife off the table. You don't see either of the Cardasians, and you don't see any of the Bajoran staff around at this moment. And you'll notice that the elder of the government officials, the sort of the senior person of them, had already retired by this point. So like the top people weren't here. So you have 3 momentum. You can spend those to obtain information, which is basically ask questions as we would in a PBTA game. So what do you want to know?
Who's most in need of help?
Right now, you've got 2 people who are in peril. One is the captain, but the other are those representatives that Adira has gotten out from under who are injured, because it does look like that rebel with the knife is angry and maybe has already assigned blame. Or is taking advantage of the opportunity that's set up.
So I think Jaro believes the captain, who's much more fit than she is, can hang on for a moment and wants to go try to de-escalate the knife situation.
So
especially now that they're an ambassador.
You've got 2 momentum left.
Okay.
So now one of the things you could do is you could spend that momentum to create a trait, an advantage on the area, essentially doing something to calm, like cooling tempers or something like that. Did you want to do something like that? That'll reduce the difficulty of diplomatic attempts in the future?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like compassion for survivors or something like that.
Okay, like and what are you saying? What are the words that you're saying here?
So I think what we see is Jaro still thinking ambassadorness goes over in a non-threatening way, but is willing to put their body physically in the way of the knife, and just saying, thinking about the lives, the danger, like let's try. Not trying to force reason on this person so much as just more about the compassion and safety of everyone, and that things will be resolved here.
Yeah, absolutely, because they can definitely tell that the room is starting to come down.
Focusing on safety over justice at this point.
Okay, so we have a trait on the room now, cooling tempers, that is in play. Captain Carlton, your head is ringing. You realize that you've reflexively grabbed on to the frame of the doorway out. You're kind of hanging off. You shake your head. That Cardasian that was with you, that gull is gone. He is vapor. You'll hear the sort of the creak of the room. You'll see the chaos that's going on inside there. You'll hear Ambassador Jaro's voice kind of shouting out from in there, even as you hear the cry of pain from Commander Lital. And then there'll be this, and you look over and you see your shuttlecraft has just started to descend, outside, close by. What do you do? You're muted.
Is it a classic balcony with like a balustrade?
Yeah.
I'm going to kick the balustrade. Clearly, it's suffered some damage, so I want to kick that off. So it's a nice flat, open area. So hopefully, Ward can come alongside, extend the extending gangplank from the side of the shuttlecraft. And I don't know if it's PC anymore, but as a captain, I feel like I must say, women and children first to the shuttlecraft. Can you say that anymore? I don't know, but it sounds very captainy. Yeah.
So I think this is definitely a fitness role. Plus security probably.
Sounds good to me.
And I think it's difficulty 1 to either, knock this clear so that Ward can do it, or get yourself to a safe position. Difficulty 2 to do both.
Okay. Let's roll and find out.
Okay.
Well, that's monumentally bad, isn't it? A 20 and a 15.
So that is a complete failure, Captain. So do you have any determination left?
I do have determination, yes.
Would you like to spend your determination for a reroll?
I will spend my determination because I have a special ability that every time I spend a determination, I have to roll effect dice to see if I actually spend it or not. So
yeah,
let's do the reroll first. So the determination is spent. Oh, that's a lot better. 1 success, 1 failure.
Okay. So let's go ahead and have you roll to see if your determination stays or not.
Let's remove the dice. Yes, I believe it does. It's a little star and a circle.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got your determination back. Now, are you more interested in saving lives or getting yourself to safety?
I've got to save lives, then. That's the role of the captain.
So I do think you get this cleared off, but I think there is that bit where you're hanging on there and your hand gives, and you will fall down onto the rubble below, and you are going to take just 2 points of damage as you kind of catch yourself, bounce, and roll out amongst the Bajorans and the people who are standing around of the locals, just at the few of them. And you will see one of the Cardasians is on the ground coming running over this way. Like you can't tell which one it is, but they're definitely racing back here in full fury. So the gangplank is down. Ensign Lee, back to you. You see Latal is staggered. It actually reminds me, you took 6 points, so you actually mark an injury. Latal. You see Ambassador Marrow's calm, getting tensions down. The Ward has gotten the shuttlecraft in the area, and that like unfolding gangplank is over. What do you want to do?
I want to yell at everyone to get out of here. I want to basically marshal the survivors to flee to the shuttle. Mainly focusing on the Abothans.
Okay.
Because I feel like Starfleet staff know to go to the shuttle in an emergency.
So this is command plus presence.
Yeah, that seems right.
Okay.
Normally
be difficulty 2, but with the trait that Marrow has put on the situation, I think it's difficulty 1 to catch people's attention and get them moving.
So that is an 11. Would charming come into it at all as my focus?
Are you playing it soft?
Yeah. It's definitely a case of You're like, everybody get out. We're going to try and, like, we got to get to safety. This thing's coming down. Or no one else needs to get hurt.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. We'll let you use that.
Yeah. As she looks over and she peers, and as the smoke clears as the shuttle's backwash like moves it away, right?
Mhm.
And she goes, what happened to the captain? Oh well, problem for another time. So that's an 11 on the thing. I'm going to use that momentum. I don't want to. Sweet. 2 crits and a success. So a total of 5 successes.
5 successes on a difficulty of 1. So you've got 4 momentum. Max momentum held is 6.
Cool. I will put, I think, 2 momentum in the pool. And I would like to use 2 momentum to create another advantage if possible.
Sure.
And what I want that advantage to be is something to do with the both sets of bothans vouching, Starfleet's priority was saving people here. Like we saved lives, Starfleet saved lives, perhaps would be the advantage.
Okay. I like that. Starfleet saves lives. Okay. Let me get that marked. And I want to roll back just a second. Let me check something here. The untapped potential. Additional momentum or threat. I roll 1 die. Each attack, they brought 1 more additional dice. They roll 1 die. Challenge dice receives bonus momentum equal to the roll and adds 1 point to the threat if an effect is rolled. So yes, you may do that, Jarl. Please roll one of those challenge dice down at the bottom. Is it working for you, or you don't want me to do it? Oh, there you go. Blank. So no bonus momentum on that one. So the situation is getting calm. You're moving people out. I think certainly getting ahead of the clock of the room going down. Jaro kind of guide the rebels so that they don't overreact. You're getting the injured people over there. You don't see where the captain is. Latal, where were you injured? Muted.
I think a head injury. I put injury concussion.
Okay. So what are you doing, Latal?
I'm heading in the wrong direction. Of course.
Kind of trying to stumble out of here.
To get out of the room, I have not registered. I've registered the sound. We need to get out. The ceiling's going to come down from, and Jaro's efforts to get people to coordinate. And so I'm heading through the smoke and the debris towards the exit door, away from the balcony.
Okay. So what's your goal here? You're trying to get out, isolated by yourself, run into the Bajorans kind of thing?
I'm to be honest, I think I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to do what Lee and Jaro have said, which is, making an orderly way out of the room. I'm just heading in the wrong direction. I think what I encounter, I don't know.
Fitness plus security.
Fitness and security is all of 11. Well, let's spend some momentum, egads, to get an extra dice. Fitness and security. With 3 dice. That is 6, 19, and 15. So that's 1 success.
1 success. I think you will stumble out into the main area, like of the building, where you'll hear the sounds of people like shouting, like, "Hey, let's go this way. How can we do?" And he will stumble there, and you will see a figure. He couldn't quite make it out because, again, it's that blurriness. We see the camera. We got the effect where it kind of goes in and out. You'll see a figure like a little more like clearly concealing their identity, see you come out and vanish down some kind of side stairwell or corridor.
I have a trait, which is keen sense of smell and excellent eyesight. I may want to refer back to that later.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me. You'll reach up and you'll realize just how badly you've been injured, I think, at that point. Ensign Ward, you have got everybody sort of loaded, onto this. But I think from where you're at in that pilot thing, you can see the captain is kind of fallen down to the ground below, and you see one of the Cardasians coming.
Well, I mean, I think I'm going to rotate the shuttle to. I mean, there's no weapons on this thing, but I'm going to point it provocatively at this Cardasian. And let him draw the wrong conclusions. And maybe if Lee is able to transport the captain up, then
I think this is difficulty 1 to provocatively angle yourself and do this without hurting anybody else in the area or causing any disruption. And if you get an extra success, you can tell me whether you beam the captain aboard.
Okay. Is this daring or control, do you think?
I think now we're in control plus con.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of beaming the captain up, so I'm gonna blag a momentum to roll an extra die. And that is 3 successes.
3 successes. So you've got a momentum. Captain Carlton, you're kind of just standing up, shaking yourself off, and you'll feel that familiar, unpleasant feeling. And before you can say anything, you are beamed aboard the shuttle. And you'll see Ensign Lee, 2 government representatives, Maru, the 2 rebel representatives, and Ward at the controls. You do not see Commander Latal.
Who the hell beamed me up?
Lee just goes.
You know I hate transporters, but goddamn good work. Excellent work. Has anybody seen Latal? Can we get a fix on him?
I feel
get a fix on him.
I would have thought at this point I tap the communicator and say, where is everyone else?
Where the hell are you, Latal?
I appear to be in a corridor.
Stand by for transport.
Just a moment, Captain. What I am curious about this person that I've seen disappearing. Is there debris out here? Is there smoke out here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's still kind of a mess out here.
Are there people out here?
No, there are people coming that are clearly kind of coming to see if they need to rescue anyone or do anything.
I am in pursuit of a suspect, and I'm going to take off in the direction of that shadowy figure.
Okay.
Permission to beam to Latal's position, sir.
Make it so. Latal's an engineer, not Sherlock Holmes.
And Lee will shove aside one of the Abothan rebel who was getting a bit leery before, and push past him into the transporter, the small transporter bay of the shuttle, right? Because we see them transporting in and out of shuttles all the time.
Absolutely. So we're going to put you with Latal. Maru, I want to check in with you as Lee transports out. You've got these 2 the 2 government officials have now gotten themselves together, and they're staring daggers at the rebels, and the rebels are staring daggers at them. But no one is acting hostilely. You've got enough atmosphere that you've built here. The captain is there. What do you want to do?
I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about Starfleet protocol here, but I think getting people into calming places, as well as following up on where the missing people who should have been there might be.
Okay.
I think Maru is going into like collecting evidence, and evidence includes people, and wants to find out what the Cardasians, any like just kind of like getting all of the pieces.
Okay, so you're like, okay, I'm looking at the scene, I'm using our
Mhm.
sensors, I'm trying to figure out where everybody is at, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's have you make a roll. What do you feel like this is?
Well, I feel like I want to, if this is appropriate, the mental repository
Look at that again.
talent.
So yeah, let's do that. So what you're doing right now is you're preparing, kind
Yeah.
of in the heat of this. We'll come back to you. Give us a description of what that looks like. Like, what do we see on screen that tells us
Yeah.
that you're kind of going into this and doing this observation?
Yeah, so I think we see like kind of a mixture of like the camera, like it's a little bit of projection of the different persons and pieces of things, kind of almost like sped up and slowed down events going around, and looking for gaps in the logic of what happened. So there's like almost like a computer game in a way, like there's like an outline of the Cardasians of where they were, and they're missing, as well as the survivors, the conditions, and already there's like a running like sort of project of a hypothesis of what happened here and what the outcomes might be.
Absolutely. So you're in the process of that. I want to check in with Carlton on one thing, and then I'll come back to see where Ward is going to take the shuttle, and then I want to come back to Lee and Littall. So Captain Carlton, you get a hail from the Kintsugi. Captain Carlton, are you all right?
Sugi, what's going on?
What's going on down there right now? We've got 2 Cardasian ships with shields raised, weapons powered. I've taken us to yellow alert. We're holding position. None of us have moved, but everyone's picked up some explosion down on the planet.
There is an explosion in the building. Is this a secure channel?
It's our comms, Captain.
They will look over at the first officer and shake their head, knowing that we have a Cardassian listening post in the region.
As secure as it can be in this area, sir.
I understand. There have been some casualties. We're assessing the situation. All crew are fine. Diffuse the situation as best you can. We'll update you in real time. But currently, no crew member is missing. There have been some injuries, but we're assessing the situation.
Just to give you a heads up, the Cardassians are not responding to our hails, but they are clearly in communication with some of their people on planet.
Meet them posture for posture, but do not escalate.
Well, we'll attempt to do so, sir.
Excellent. We'll get back to you as soon as we know more.
Okay. So Ward, where do you want to take this shuttle? Do you want to go back to the bay where you were at? Do you want to park it here? Do you want to do something else? Do you want to head outside the estates, the compound, or something else?
Yeah, maybe I will consult briefly with Maru. If we think there's a certain place to land to, help the de-escalation, maybe even make some progress on our negotiations. If there's a nice spot in the gardens, right?
Yeah, and like Maru definitely wants to get on the site and look for any evidence before it's too disturbed, even if that means collecting remains or anything like that.
So I think Maru, what you would like is, I mean, just put the shuttle down in these grounds out here. It's close by. It isn't provocative, and it gives you access to doing the research. Are you willing to do that, Ward?
Yeah, we're not taking anyone away. We're just landing a safe distance from the building and any secondary explosions.
Absolutely. I think you'll see now that the two Cardasians are out. You kind of see them through the dust. You'll see there are a lot of Bajorans standing around. You will see the Elder has come with some of her entourage to see what's going on, and you can settle things down in a way that kind of means that no one is perceiving this as an attack in any way, shape, or form. Latal, still ringing in your ears. You'll hear the sound of the transporter, and you'll see Adira Lee appear beside you.
Follow me, Ensign.
Yeah, I'm imagining Lital is already like up to the position that I was being transported into. Right, I look around and I hear Lital, and I catch up with him as he stumbles up the corridor with his head wound. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you have, let me take a look back at your thing here. Latal. So let's have you roll for this. What do you want to roll this with to run down this person who is trying to escape?
I think it's either command or daring, because it's either off the cuff or a conscious effort. I think given the concussion, it's off the cuff. So that puts me towards daring to spot where he goes, or fitness to keep up. And I think it's probably
It's his security
or con, because con kind of covers agility, mobility, doesn't it? Or have I misremembered that?
I think that's your fate of the.
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Not in this rule set, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So daring or fitness plus security.
Okay. Well,
Can
it's
help as well.
Yes.
So daring and security. How are we doing? I'm gonna burn a momentum to get an extra dice.
Okay.
And how does the help work? I forget.
So what Lee is going to do is Lee is also going to roll the same thing, but just with one die.
Okay.
So right now, this thing was a difficulty 3. You have a concussion, so it is difficulty 4.
And you've got one success now from Lee.
And I've got
eddying as you go up the corridor.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've got a 4, 17, and 18. Let me see. I don't think there's anything in my focus list that's going to do anything with that 4. What about Starfleet saves lives? Too big a stretch?
And that is your...
That's the advantage.
Current advantage in play.
Yeah. Which I think may come in.
It's more of a social thing from the last thing, I would say.
If there were other Robothans around, perhaps, who might have seen us help people, then they might be more disposed to say they went that way or something.
Fine. So just 2 successes.
So I think you two will run through the area, and I think while you won't catch this person, there are 2 things that you will realize.
Ooh. What about keen sense of smell trait? It is a characteristic of the
so now you're just missing it by 1.
Okay.
So I think that you will be able to pick up that this is somebody who knows the area, and be certain about that. And that they probably have some allies around here. Like the way they vanished, like that says to you that somebody let somebody in a door or something, and it got away that way. Does that seem like fair info?
So someone with local knowledge and maybe a local network.
Right. And
can we
yes.
frame that as as we're pursuing through it, I'm imagining like Letal is just stubborn as hell, right? Like that's his character and everything, right? But like we have to Lee's going to have to pull him to a halt and say, "Sir, we should really check out your wound. You're bleeding quite badly." They're gone, sir.
Letal?
Where are the others?
And I'm going to actually cut from there. We're going to take our break. We're going to come back and resolve our ambassador's reading of the situation. And we'll bring everybody back together for like out of initiative kind of discussion about what to do next. So let's take 10 and we will come back. So we come back from our commercial break. We see the ship has landed. We know that Lee and Letal are off doing that. Carlton, you're kind of in communication, speaking with Ward about what's been going on. The Cardasians are nearby, and we see Marrow kind of standing there outside the shuttle, looking at the place where this happened, looking at the people around, recalling what's going on. So let us have you make that roll with your criminalistics as your focus here.
Sure.
Does
it make sense to also add in my role ability as science officer?
When we see the task using the ship's computers or with the tricorder, you generate 1 bonus momentum. Yeah, let's do both. So this is going to be insight plus science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Insight plus science. So that is a 15/4. Difficulty is a 1 because of your mental repository, and you're going to potentially get bonus momentum from your science officer roll.
All right, let's see what we get. Oh my gosh, I got like 3 successes.
You rolled 4 dice though.
Yeah. Did it not come up yet?
You should only roll 2 dice.
Oh, okay.
So let me have you re-roll with just 2 dice.
Yep. All right, let's do that. Roll 2 and a 15.
Okay. So you've got 2 successes plus a bonus momentum. So what is your first question? What is the first thing that you wish to know?
I think I want to know.
And like a fair question would be like, what was the disposition of the Cardasians? Like that's a fair question, I think, in this case.
Then let's just go to the obvious on that. Like I think that Marrow isn't ruling out anyone at this point. But like is really concerned about like trying to figure out like who has the most to gain from this, like what, but if we need to focus it more.
Yeah, this is your observational thing on the physical circumstances and forensics and the tricorder.
Then the obvious is going to be the Cardasians, I think, still.
So with the first point, and you've got potentially 3 of these. The first thing is you know that the Cardasians left fairly early from this. They left their gull there and headed out. So they were gone during this time. So either one of them certainly could have been involved with this, especially if it's something remote or at range or something. The thing that you will note on the arrival of the Cardasians. There's the male and the female. There's the bad-tempered male, and the one you suspect might be part of Obsidian Order. That's at least like the hypothesis that was thrown around. Idak, the male, was the first to arrive back, and he definitely arrived separately from Jimia, who arrived second. So Idak was at first on the scene, and then Jimia arrived shortly after that, and they're clearly, wherever they were not in the same place. What's your second question?
I think, if possible, and this may not be able to happen until we do more thorough investigation of the evidence, is to examine like any kind of chemical signatures as close to possible to ground zero. So like tampering of the wine, if that's potential.
So you want to know what the explosive was, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then see if we can trace that back to whoever did it.
So I think what you will realize is that this is clearly some kind of explosive set essentially in one of the vessels, like a plant holder out there on the balcony. And there seems to have been like a timed trigger, like people went out on the balcony, and there's definitely a timer that something clicked. What exactly was the sensor for that is unclear, but there was definitely a timer countdown from that. And the explosion was pretty strong, but certainly not enough to take the room out. It just caused structural damage.
So yeah, we're looking for someone who had opportunity, right? Someone had to set this up on potentially short order, knowing that they would be out there talking, and trying to, probably be thinking about who has the most to gain from this happening.
Well, the gain is a whole different question. The sort of opportunity, who had opportunity? Well, right now, certainly the Cardasians have been moving around and swept the area, so they have opportunity. There is a set of Bajoran servants, so they could have also had it. And there's also the possibility of the Abothans having set that up. So there's a lot of opportunity for that. I'm going to kind of tweak this a little and have this kind of be a forensic revelation for the answer to this. I think the thing that you will realize is that the trigger device is very clearly a very short range sniffer, like very close range to detect Cardasian biosigns. So essentially, once a Cardasian walked out there on that balcony, there was a counter that started, and then it went up. Does that seem like fair info for that?
Yeah, and is that fairly commonplace from the Bajoran resistance?
It's not unusual.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. It definitely, has that look of what you would know as Maquis style approaches to things. I have to pause here for 1 second. I have a thing I have to fix on Playable, so I'm going to pause the recording just for a second. So that's the information that you can pull together. Let's imagine that there is kind of an emergency spot set up out here. The Abothans kind of set up some spaces. They have Bajoran set up emergency tables. There's a triage center, that kind of thing that's going on. The Cardasians are standing by. You can tell that they're in hurried conversation with one another, and also speaking clearly to the ship, because you can track communications from here to the ship and what's gone on. And Captain Carlton, you will be hailed by your ship, and your first officer says, the gull of the Temkat, the remaining gull, Golgek, wishes to speak with you, Captain. Shall I put it through? Captain Carlton, what is going on?
Golgek. Being very composed. There's been an incident down here.
An incident seems like a small way to put it. My information from my Glens is that our Gull representative has been murdered on your watch.
On my watch? I don't think so. I was enjoying a quiet drink with the Gaul, and current evidence points towards an assassination attempt. I myself was injured.
And how was this assassination attempt carried out?
It's early days. The facility's smashed. You've got to give us more time.
You will keep my Glens in the loop on your investigation.
Of course. That's common courtesy.
I do say that this is on your watch, as we were merely guests at the negotiations that you were overseeing.
And guests you are to remain.
Ooh, interesting. You want to push back a little bit on him?
I do. I want to persuade him that I'm the man in charge.
Okay.
Not him.
Let's have you do that. What do you feel like? Definitely command, but presence?
No, I want him to know that we're in control.
Okay. So control, command, and you've got persuasion, so that's a 17/5. I think this is a challenging guy because he's got a chip on his shoulder.
I'm going to spend the last momentum.
Please do.
I aim to put it back if need be. Well, could have been worse. Actually, no, that's 3 successes.
So,
yeah, control and command, I got 5 and a 13.
Yeah. Very well. We will give you some time to provide a solution to the situation, but know that our patience is not infinite. Golgek out.
Let's hustle, team. We've got a case to solve.
And let's do the scene with you together. Actually, before, like, I'd like to get a like an interaction when Latal and Lee are coming back, and then maybe get some interaction between Ward and Marrow kind of in this, just because we want to see some of that. So after you've kind of done this manhunt and not fully succeeded, Lee, Latal, what do you think that walk, not of shame, but of like frustration back to the rest of the group is like?
Deep disappointment, I think. I mean, probably a temporary dressing applied. And yeah, deep disappointment. You know, I was certain that we could have captured. There was this shady figure just off the explosion. He was blurry. My eyesight was little, but I feel I almost had him.
We were right behind him, Commander. You know, if you hadn't taken that hit, I mean, I'm amazed you're still standing. I guess your skull's as thick as everyone says.
Yes, and I will take that in the sense I believe it was delivered, Ensign.
Uh, but the did you get a good look? Did you get a good look at them?
I just feel no. I have a picture on my mind of a shadowy figure making a swift exit from the scene of the crime. I'm certain it was them, but I can't pick any details out of that memory. If
Out of character, would you be able to? Do you think you'd be able to pick up the smell?
well, I think I gained the benefit of the smell. When it at the end there wasn't enough.
Hmm.
And I might. I mean, there might be the smell of cordite overlaid on that. You know, again, out of character, I am wondering whether we have anyone on board capable of a mind meld.
We do, but I think they'd be hard pressed to come down with the Cardasians up there at the moment. I think we're gonna have to solve this the hard way.
I think we might.
Yeah, maybe that's something we say in character, right? Like, if only Vate was here, you could use that blasted empathy for something more useful. Finally,
I'm not letting Vate in my head. I have no idea what he'd leave behind.
Well, it must have been someone on the inside, sir. I could try and speak to some of the Bajorans.
I'm not clear about the Bajorans in this. I don't believe it's the Cardasians unless there is some deep internal strife being played out here. And I honestly don't believe it's in the interest of either of the local factions to kill a Cardasian or the captain if that was their intent.
I mean, from what I hear, things on Bajor got pretty bad, sir. I wouldn't want to rule it out. But even if not, no one pays any attention to the staff. They see things, you know?
Yes, good point, Winston, good point. And I think we're back at the shuttle.
I'd like to do like a bit while kind of this is going on. Maru, you're walking around doing your observations. You've got your tricorder, you're checking things out. Carlton, you're in the shuttle having this conversation with the Gull. Ward, let's do a scene with you and Maru here. So how would you like to start that out?
Well, Maru, I think, is very much in the lead both in terms of the forensics and the diplomacy. So I'll be playing wingman on this. I wonder if there's some because I've an investigation focus, so I'm not a complete fifth wheel on this. So yeah, maybe as we're picking through the physical evidence, we're exploring the motivations of.
Like we're talking aloud or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and I think even before Maru says it out loud, I think your Ward, you're like, this has the hallmarks of a Bajoran.
Because, the thing about servants is when they disappear, something bad's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think, like, I don't know if this is possible, but using the tricorder kind of like to digitize, photograph, whatever, the evidence, and run spectrometers through it all. And there weren't any security cameras or anything around this area, were there?
Doesn't seem to be. There's a certain expectation of privacy for the diplomats around here.
Okay. And yeah, I think Jaro would mention, the Bajoran angle to this as well. But it's almost like it feels almost too obvious. Like, just like, well, then what would happen, right? A Bajoran would attack a Cardasian here. Then there'd be what, retribution, retaliation of some kind. Like,
Well, we're not on Cardassia, so
or Bajor.
the draconian rules of retribution don't apply quite so
Right.
easily. They would
Like,
have to prove it,
right. It's
and
going to
they're
be a
not
long, drawn out process, potentially. What do anyone else have to benefit from this incident? Do the Abothans have something like to prevent like them being investigated? Like, is there something else that's being sort of like hidden
the
because of
only
this?
the only advantage I could see is that if the Cardassians feel that they can't continue, then Starfleet might feel obliged to withdraw, and therefore no negotiations take place, and that is probably what the Abothans would be happiest with.
And that's what I'm wondering. Like, I feel that we need to find out really. Like, I could even see potentially a Bajorn being involved somehow. But I'm wondering if the Abothans are really the ones who wanted something like this to happen.
I mean, it seems like a bit of a stretch because I don't think that we are likely to withdraw from these negotiations just because the Cardassians lost a person.
Well, it's gonna make the process more difficult, right?
Sure.
We're gonna be like caught up in the political ramifications of the event.
Just seems like that would be them rolling the dice to.
Well, they messed up their environment, right? With
Their
the failed
ability to
experiment,
to
right?
judge risk. I mean, we were no different back in the day, right? Um,
And I think that like Jaros doesn't get that reference.
I like that. Let's bring everybody together. Captain Carlton, you finally get that moment when Latal and Lee return back after you've had this conversation, and Maru and Ward are there, and findings are reported in private so that no one can overhear, and the four of you the five of you can talk. So, Captain, we kind of come to you after the briefing has been given.
I think the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to sit down with Latal, and I'm going to say, my old friend Han, confusing yourself again as a soldier rather than an engineer. You tend to have taken a wound there, my friend.
There's a slight stutter. I don't think Captain Carlton has ever referred to Han Latal as his friend. It seemed the sensible thing to do. There was a mysterious, suspicious figure. It seemed sensible to pursue them.
A wise move. Well, let's patch you up and get you back in the field then.
Thank you, Captain.
And I will pull a med kit and I will perform some emergency medicine on Latal.
So I don't think we need to do a roll, but I think Latal, you can clear that injury because that's the most serious thing because that's giving you a additional difficulty. I think you're going to keep the stress for the moment, but we're going to wipe that injury.
Okay, team.
Yep.
How do we stand then? Lines of inquiry, times of the essence here. We've got the Cardassians breathing down our necks. We've got a murder to solve.
Right. So I think Jaro would say, I believe that we don't have enough evidence to pick anyone out yet, specifically.
Okay, let's get that evidence then. That's what we need.
We need someone on the Abothans, we need someone in the Bajorn camp, and we need to keep an eye on the Cardassians, and can continue to run experiments in the background on any evidence we find.
Okay, who's our best two people?
Permission to speak with the Bajorans, sir. Me and Ward. Well, they were pretty. They seemed friendly at least.
Okay, would Jaro not be better in that camp?
I don't know. It might be complicated.
Fair one.
For
Let's go
the
with your
ambassador to
first
be
then.
talking to Bajorans instead of continuing with the Abothans might.
I feel that I should at least appear to be a neutral party in this.
Yeah, fine. Let's go ahead with that then, Lee.
So Ward and
take
Lee
the-
talking with the Bajorans.
I mean, no. I mean, if Donna wants to do something else, I was just referencing our previous conversation.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, cool.
I'll take the locals.
The Abothans.
Okay, what else have we got to do? Your engineering skills, Latal, could come in handy here.
Just bear with me, Captain. I'm assuming that when you treated my head injury, Jaro will have assisted because you're both qualified. You're both medically qualified, and I just wonder if when Jaro was leaning over me, was there anything familiar in the scent?
What, like
Cardasian or Bajoran.
the problem is that Jaro is both Cardasian and Bajoran, so
Yeah, but it would be interesting to know if either of the scents that I guess get off her is
interesting. That feels very weird, but let's say difficulty 2. I'll have you make a
because
roll.
I think it would be appropriately weird if during that we notice that Latal's eyes follow and he stalks
Let's have
out
you
for
make
those.
that roll. I think it's
Um,
difficulty 2, even with that scent thing that you've got.
Yeah. And I'm looking. I think it's probably control, isn't it? Accuracy and precision
Okay.
and security or
Yeah.
medicine.
Either one. They're both 2s. I'm good with either of those.
Okay, medicine. So that's
Spend-
12.
12.
Spend
So let's-
threat.
Control and medicine.
So 12s.
12.
You can spend a threat if you want.
And I'll give you a threat so I
Oh,
can have a
please
momentum.
do.
Okay.
So
here we
3d20 12s.
12s. No focuses at work. Okay. Oh, that is 3 successes.
Yes, it was either a Bajoran or a Cardasian.
Well, that's helpful because that rules out the Abothans.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it's a good thing. So Carlton talking with the Abothans or interacting with the Abothans. Ward and Lee on the Bajorans. Latal, are you following up on that visit to the engineering complex?
Yes. I want to try and track down Nan Parter, I think it was, who and just follow up in a like nothing had happened.
Let's do this. This is what I'd like to do. Let's do the Bajoran talk first. Now let's do Latal. Let's do Carlton. And then, based on the information that's passed around, you can decide where you want to head. Maru, does that seem fair? Okay. So Ward and Lee, how are you playing this? How are you doing this? Are you going back to the gardener? Are you observing the Bajorans or what?
I think that Lee's charming. I think that her approach would be to talk to the Bajorans. Check in on them, make sure that they're okay. Find out, get some sort of read on them and how they're reacting to this.
Okay. So, Ward, you're going to assist?
Yeah, I think so.
So this would normally be a difficulty 3, but you've got Starfleet saves lives. So I'm going to take it down to difficulty 2. Essentially, imagine we got that Bajoran sort of tight-knit community. So difficulty 2. Let's have you. What do you want to roll? This is definitely presence.
Yeah.
Plus command or security?
Presence, and security, interrogation. I think this is
If you're being charming, I think it would be command.
command. Yeah, I'll go with command.
Okay.
11, because that gives me more focus as well. So
yeah. So security, command. Let's have both of you roll. Donna, you roll a d10, a d20, and Lee, you roll 2 d20.
Presence command. Presence command, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a success.
Okay, so there's 1.
Yeah, but you've got quite a lot in that threat pool, don't you, Lowell, at the moment?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Let's give it to you, if I can. Why not?
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, 4 successes.
4 successes.
So that's on top of my 1, right?
Yeah, so that's 5 successes. So I think the first, like that 2 success is to go, and we see you talking to the various Bajorans and interacting with them, and so on. And I think eventually you are approached by that gardener, and he looks very concerned, and he's like, is everybody okay?
Yeah, we just thought we'd check in with you guys. I've got some field medicine training, and we've got fresh supplies. So is everyone fine?
Yeah. Was anyone killed?
Yeah. I'm afraid we lost someone.
Who?
Look at Ward, look back.
A very senior officer.
It's a shame. I've never met a Gull before, but Gull Shagat seemed like he was willing to talk, at least.
Now I'm going to spend one of the 3 momentum that you have. So, and then I'll let you do the additional obtainable, she says. There were some of the younger hotheads. They knew that there were Cardasians coming. And I don't know exactly what they were planning, but I knew they were up to something, but I didn't think they would do anything this stupid. That's idiocy. But I know that they've tried to play at being Maquis here, and they have some kind of contact.
Listen, Dad. I understand where they're coming from, but they put everyone in danger here. There's 2 Cardasian ships up there. The Abothans, if they find out, well, it won't just be them who suffers. We need to find a way through this. But we can only do that if you help us.
Let me come with me. I know where, if they've gone to ground, where they probably be. And I'm going to save that other 2 momentum that you have potentially to obtain information on the following scene. Okay, so you've got 2 sort of sitting there for that. Latal, you will go back and you will find Nanparta, who is freaked out. He was there when the explosion went off. He was slightly injured. He was one of the people that was saved by Lee and you. And he's like Commander Latal. And he's got his arm in a sling. That's how our special effects budget shows he's been injured. He kind of looks around and goes, Are you still willing to help us to look?
Why do you think I'd come to find you?
You see him stop and he goes, I don't know. Is that a yes or a no?
Of course it's a yes.
I'm sorry. You talk in a very different way than we do.
Well, I talk very straightforwardly. You don't. If you did, this would be simpler.
Except your first query was to whether I was I don't know. You're using interrogatives to make statements, and I don't understand.
Take me to your problem.
And he will like very clearly fades off from the others and moves you through the facility and takes you over to where there's clearly some kind of like airlock, like couple level things to move from here out to the main city. And he will, pass these things over and move you out into the streets. And you see a busy metropolis that even here in just the few bits that you're walking, these first few blocks, you can see there are have-nots and haves. Like you can see that there is that thing, that real difference there. The other thing I think you'll see is there are vids and broadcasts and things on like everywhere. That all seems to be, advertisements and blipferts and drones doing that kind of thing. And you'll see people like just standing there and watching advertisement. And we kind of stop and look, and it's clear that they're trying to generate money for themselves by like getting a little bit of money by watching through the adverts and so on, or doing surveys or that kind of thing, kind of desperately. The other thing I think you'll see is there are on every corner, first you think they might be like communication boxes or like newspaper boxes or something like that. But what you'll see is people stopping at these boxes, and they pull something out of their pocket, and you see them put it in there. And you see they get like a little scan code, and they scan that. And you realize they're putting like small user appliances like phones and comms and palm devices. And, you see that there seems to be places for dropping off bigger things here.
Well, they're just taking their devices and putting them in these boxes.
Yes. You see, and then Parda will stop and will say, do you not have those where you're at?
I need context. What is going on here?
It says when something breaks, ceases its lifespan, you put it in the containers for reclamation and you get some credits.
That seems very sensible.
Absolutely.
What about those people there just staring at those screens?
That's how some people make enough money to get by.
When you say some people, which people?
People who are at the bottom of the organization of society.
The organization of society. Is that why the passage disagree with your policies?
I couldn't possibly say.
And I think what I want to do...
Shall I take you to...
Yes, do. But as we go, I'm going to use that talent of incisive scrutiny.
Sure.
To work out what's going on here by what he won't tell me as much as what he will.
So you are looking at this and you're watching them do stuff and you're kind of looking around and, you know, you'll see that like there's a store that has phones. And you see that the phones are like in stacks with higher costs. And one is a 3-month phone, one is a 6-month phone, one is a year phone, one is a 2-year phone. And at first you think they're talking about contracts, but it's very clear that it's not that. It's that they stop working after that amount of time.
Which
And
explains why this constant recycling is going on.
It seems like everything here has this built-in obsolescence.
Okay.
And he will take you from there over to the facility and where the replicator is, and he will say, we're going to have to walk carefully here.
Why?
Because you're not supposed to be out here.
Out here anywhere here?
No. That's you're not supposed to be, and especially not in controlled area like this. I can get you in, but I need you to be subtle.
Of course.
We'll cut there and we'll come back to you in a moment. Captain Carlton, what are you up to?
That's a good question. So I'm going to go see the Abothans.
Okay. There are 2 Abothans that are that you've met before. There's the elder, the eldest Radro, and Jalaris, the other representative who was up on the ship. The one who is a little more cool and calm.
I think I'll sit down with both of them, if that's possible. And I'm going to say to them, this is a bad situation.
So which one? Did you say both of them or which one? The eldest or the other one?
Let's do both of them.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is a bad situation.
I agree, says the eldest. The situation has become more complicated. I worry for the strains that are between the Cardasians and the Federation. I think it would be best for this case to be solved, and we come back to this matter of negotiation somewhere down the road. You saw the reaction of those barbarians when the bomb went off. They immediately grabbed for weapons. They would have cut our throats.
I'm more concerned for all of Abothans. If the Cardasians think it's you, they could easily take out your satellite network. From 2 ships, that would probably be the easiest move. No damage to people, but they could take out your satellite network, blame you for it. It was on your watch, on your planet. Your security seemed quite lax. I'm worried. Say they remove your satellite network.
Surely the Federation would not allow that to occur.
We can't interfere in a non-Federation planet. I'm just saying.
Not my understanding of your relationship with the Bajorans.
We do not interfere between Bajorans and Cardasians. They removed themselves from Bajor. I'm just saying this looks pretty sticky for you guys.
So what do you want to roll? I mean, it clearly, like, is your intent more manipulation, or is your intent more reading and trying to get information? Like, what is the intent? The
initial
here?
thrust is to unsettle them, but I want to know from that unsettlement where they where they sit. Basically, are they very worried? Especially when I mentioned that could be their end of their satellite network.
So, what do you want to roll this with? Feels like
I want to
insider presence for the attribute.
Yeah, and I think it is command.
Yeah, I'm where that seems reasonable.
And I have got persuasion as a focus.
Yeah, let's do that.
To try and persuade them that this is quite bad for them.
So 14
Okay.
/5. I'm going to spend a couple of threat here.
I had 2 successes.
Difficulty is a 3 right now.
Okay. Well, I've only rolled 2 dice, so 2 successes.
So I think you will see that the eldest kind of falls back to bureaucratese. Like this is something I'm going to discuss with the pipeline. I'm going to speak with the other elders. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I know what you say about here. I think that this is something we're going to have to discuss. And it kind of clearly kind of puts you off. However, you will notice throughout this whole discussion that as you kind of been watching, I think the information you're going to get with the sort of the near miss here, because you've got that advantage from Starfleet saves lives and stuff. I think you will see that Jalaris, like, the color of his skin gets darker and darker throughout this conversation, and it seems to you like he's becoming more and more like freaked out and worried. He doesn't say a word during any of this, but you can see him get more and more unsettled the more you talk.
This was the cool-headed guy, wasn't it?
Yes.
We've clearly touched a nerve.
Yeah. Though the eldest, the leader of the 3 of them, is not reacting in the same way. Seem like fair info?
That sounds totally fair. Let's see what some others get.
Maru, you've got pieces of information. We assume that you've gotten the information from the others is to act on. What do you want to do? Do you want to? The Cardasians haven't been accounted for. There are some other things to follow up on. What do you want to do?
So I feel like I'm assembling like a virtual or digital like suspect murder board.
Sure.
And I think I'm trying to go through as many records as I can get to see if there's anyone here that has just cause for doing this. So like if, like was mentioned earlier, if one of the Bajorn had family members killed by one of these Cardasians or whatnot, just kind of looking at the finances, doing like the whole like research thing.
What do you want to roll that with?
I think I'm going to roll with reason.
Okay.
And let's see, probably security.
That seems fair to me.
And then
definitely feels like the focus of your criminalistics will apply to this.
Yeah. And then
so that would be let's see here. Your reason
do values come into any of these roles?
So here's what values do is values are used as a trigger for determination. So determination, you can spend it before you roll to give yourself an extra die that's set at a 1, or you can use it to re-roll after you roll, but you have to kind of link it to one of your values.
Okay, so truth is my guiding principle. I think that's the one that I would do. So do I just check that box?
So if you want to use that, right now. So right now you've got 2 successes for a critical. And let's have you go ahead and roll reason plus security. So that's a 14/3.
Okay. So let's see.
And you spend you spend that point of determination.
Right. Okay. And then I don't know if my roll ability or anything else would be applicable to this.
I think right now we'll see about the it's not a tricorder thing.
Right. But I'm using computers, but I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, I think we're 14/3. You've already got 2 successes.
Okay. So just the 2 dice?
Yeah.
Okay. 14/3. Let's roll for that. I got a 1 and a 4.
Okay. So right now you have 5 successes. So let's get that thing that was a difficulty 2, and then you got 3 more. So one of the questions you asked in the chat that I think we're going to kind of like follow up on is you follow up on something that was mentioned early on, like last session. And that is that the gull who was killed had been here on planet before it was turned, like before the Cardasians left. And at that point, the Glenn Idak was associated, was essentially a second command, was that the Gull was a Glenn at that point, and his present Glenn Idak was, his subordinate. So both of them have spent time here on the planet. They both have that. I think related to that, you can see that both of them have had other contacts since then. They have been the Cardasians that have come here several times, involved with diplomatic stuff in the past. That's why they were assigned there, but they have a history in this place. So you've got 3 momentum to ask questions with.
Okay. I guess what I want to know is what in their history with this place would sort of lead to murder.
Give me a more focused question than that.
Who I guess more focus would be, if it's Bjorn, which Bjorn would best like be affected by the Gaul? Like, I'm trying to like figure out if this is the right suspect.
Oh.
Like, is there like a personal matter?
So I think one of the things you will pick up in the lines that kind of dovetails with what you've got on Lee and Ward's side is that it does seem like maybe there's some people sending some money down to kind of support these Bajorans playing at being terrorists. And I think that you're like, I can see where the money trail is. Like there's somebody doing something that way. And I think you follow back up, and this is another one of your momentum I'm going to spend, and you're going to have one left, is that you're like checking the comms from the ships to the planet, and there's nothing there. But you guys already got inside the signal station for the Cardasians, and you will see that there is a very cloaked, very concealed set of messages going back and forth to one of the Cardasian vessels, and you are tracking, placing, and it seems like even before that explosion went off, Glenn Idak was in communication secretly with the Cardasian ships.
So it seems like he's our prime suspect.
He hasn't said anything. He's hiding his communications. There's a lot of stuff there. Does that seem like a fair set of answers?
Yeah, I think one of the obvious responses, and we don't have to deal with this right now, is to send a note, encrypted note, to Vate to follow up on this.
Okay, that seems fair. You've still got one momentum. I'm going to have you hang on to that for a second. Let's take a quick bio break, just a couple minutes. We're going to come back, okay? So Lee, Ward, you've been given this information, filled in a little bit on there being some kind of secret backer for the Bajorans. And I think that brings us to a whole nother set that we got decorated a little more ragtag. This is clearly the kind of the like where the Bajoran workers, like their kind of hide out when they try to get away, or keep themselves a kind of low profile, and it's kind of a seedy place. You of course get the classic, we're going to disguise ourselves, which is the cloak we throw over ourselves when we go down in. And there are a number of Bajorans down there. They're all young. They're all teenagers, maybe a little bit older. And they're kind of clearly hiding out there, and they're all freaked out. And this groundskeeper, this gardener, takes you down there and kind of throws off his hood, and he says, "What have you done to them?" And you see them all look freaked out and panicked when he comes in, like he's clearly a figure of like the old man of the Bajorans, and they're terrified. They're like, "We didn't." And he says, "You will tell these two what you have done," and points to you two to kind of drop your hoods, and they'll be like, "Oh." And what is it you want to know? Ward, Lee, you've each got momentum. Lee, you asked the last question, so let's start with Ward on this one.
I mean, I'm inclined to give them a sarcastic slow clap, right? Well, you've done it. You've killed your first gull, probably, right?
No, there was no killing. There was no killing.
Oh yeah, because you're running the show. Do you really want to know who you're working for?
This wasn't the plan. This wasn't the plan at all.
Show me your communications with your backer. So I guess this is the piece of information we want, right? We want to see the link between them and Edak.
I think that they will show you some, like they have drop comms to connect to one to the other. Like clearly they use it for their person, who is helping them out. And I think that you kind of check it out. It's pretty clever, Ward, but I think that you will see definitely that it has a bounce signal in addition to like the comms to who, here, that goes up to that signal unit, that station, that very clearly confirms for you that this is Cardasian gifted.
Lee?
Well, I think that was part of the plan all along, I'm afraid, guys. You've just been played by the Cardasians. Somebody on that ship.
And they're like, we've been in touch. They told us that the Cardasians were coming. They gave us the information. They said that we could earn our way back to Bajor. That all we had to do was kidnap these Cardasians. That there'd be a ship ready to do this, and we could take them. We could get off planet, and it would all work out. But when we got there, after the bomb went off, we all went to there, but there was no ship.
Shocked.
We didn't plant a bomb. We were just in the area, and I was just watching, and then this guy with tusks comes running after me, and I was so scared.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, that was going to be my question. My other question was, what exactly was their involvement, right?
Yeah, they'll tell you these are young pups who weren't on Bajor during any of the fighting, but who were raised on stories of the Maquis. And they've been kind of stuck here on this planet. And somebody, reached out to them with an anonymous communication and began talking to them and giving them some money and talking with them about how they could get off of here, and gave them the itinerary of the meeting and all this, and the plans for the timing. And they expected that there would be some kind of like distraction, like they expected like a smoke bomb or fireworks or something like that. They didn't expect a bomb.
So
I didn't get you.
Yeah, sorry, go again, Will.
Were they? Did they said they were expecting to kidnap the Cardasians?
Yes.
Right. So one of them didn't plant the bomb. I'm just confirming that one.
Yeah,
right?
you check it out. Like, you talk to them, and it is very clearly that they don't know anything about bombs.
Yeah. I guess I was more double checking that it wasn't like we thought it was a smoke grenade and it turned out to be a bomb.
Yeah,
like,
no, they didn't even. They were told that there was going to be a distraction.
So they were.
But were they? Did they have the sniffer? So they are the ones who triggered someone else's bomb. Is that my understanding?
No, it looks like they were just set up to be patsies.
Okay.
They were fully expected to be in the area with like and get picked up by you or the Cardasians or something.
Right, yeah, because they were all there prepared to kidnap someone, so they had weapons and stuff, I imagine, right?
And one of them says, like, we were gonna like check on things, but then this shuttlecraft come flying over, and we're like, nobody told us there was going to be like a spaceship fight. I want to get like scanned and shot by one of those.
Yeah, well, I mean, the lieutenant commander would scare anybody away. I'm going to say, look, it's not good for everyone here. Even if this had worked, it'd be bad for them. But there's a chance to make it right. Okay.
I've got a cunning plan that might suggest how we can get advantage.
Lay it on me, what? Let's see what the British crew's been teaching you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure this is very Federation, but we have some friends here who have a line to our conspiring Edak. What would happen if they sent him another message that they had set a trap for another Cardasian on planet? Could we use that to get Edak to tip his hand?
We could panic. Well, we could panic him by saying they could come that they're targeting Edak directly.
We're targeting the new Cardasian commander on planet.
Let me have you chew on that. We'll come back to you in a moment, because that may give us a nice hard framing for how we do this. Latal, you are snuck into this facility, and you can see that it is clearly like locked down tight. Like, nobody is getting in here without the kind of high level permissions that Nanpartha has. And it's also, once you get in here, you realize it's automated. Like, they have automation systems and just a few people running things. And you'll see those big industrial replicators that the Federation sent that were intended to be used to help out with things.
How many of these communicators per hour do these things churn out?
A lot. It looks like they've repurposed a lot of this into building part of their industrial infrastructure. Let's have you make a insight or reason roll plus engineering.
Reason, I think.
Okay.
So that will be 14. I don't think. I mean, there's Starfleet protocols you might count, but anyway, 14.
Okay.
So rolling 2 dice because momentum is dead in the water. Oh, a 4 and a 12. So that's 2 successes.
2 successes plus an additional momentum. So let me give you the basic info, and then you're going to have 2 momentum to spend on obtain information. It looks to you like one of the things is that they've repurposed this. They clearly had some kind of industrial and replicator technology beforehand, but maybe it's broken down. And you can see where they clearly had Cardasian tech. And a lot of these things are built on kind of leftover scavenged Cardasian tech. And they've kind of repurposed that onto these replicators to build things and to build everything with limited lifespans, with these chips that are essentially shutdown chips and are all wired into this massive Wi-Fi system. And this is how the haves control everyone. Is if you want everything, it's cheap, but you have to keep buying it. Everything is disposable, and you can tell the difference with the haves that are here because you see that they have clothing that looks like it's going to stand up to the test of time. It looks like they have boots that are going to last for a few years. To reference another thing, and that's what's going on here.
Well, just as well that Starfleet is a force for good and technology can mostly provide an answer, isn't it?
You've got 2 momentum. What do you want to know? Or what do you want to do?
What I want to do is to break the entire system. I want to render these replicators. I want to set a virus loose in here if necessary that will repurpose all the replicators back to their original function and make them tamper-proof. Because that is what the technology was provided for. So when they say they need them repaired, I'm very happy to oblige.
All right. I'm going to give you a trait with that 2 momentum that you can use towards doing this, but I think this is going to be a tough roll. Now, mind you, you've got computer expertise. It's going to give you an extra D20, but I think this is going to be another engineering roll. And I'm going to be 2, 1. I'll spend 2 for my threat pool. I'll make this difficulty 3.
Okay.
And the part of it here is the time pressure. Like Partha's like, we need to get out of here soon. We get out.
Yes,
I
understand.
We need to go.
Yes, well, if you stop talking to me, I could spend more time doing what I'm supposed to be doing and not listening to you.
Oh, good. That was a clear, specific statement.
Good. Then we're going to get on fine. So just go over there and leave me alone.
Well, so engineering, definitely.
Yeah. And I think this is going to take a little bit of precision. I think this is control.
Okay.
So that is 14, and I don't think there's anything in my focuses that help.
No, you don't, but you do have 3d20.
I do have 3d20. And I'm prepared to give you another threat back.
So that'll have to be 2 threat because you already got an extra d20.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll go with that.
4d20 then, and I've got 4 in my threat pool right now.
Yeah. Here we go. Ah, dearie God, that is 1 success.
That is 1 success.
That's about as bad as it gets.
Spend your determination for a reroll.
I've already spent my determination in this adventure, in this mission.
If you are in communication with me, I can give you a determination.
Oh,
I am prepared to allow you to do that.
Captain, can you just patch through to engineering for me, please? Because I just need a little software patch for my tricorder.
We'll get you a secure link to the Kintsugi. Yep, we'll make that happen. No problem, Latal. So I will spend a determination to give him a determination.
Okay.
And I will roll to see if I get the determination back.
Okay. So
And then I get a reroll.
Oh, I didn't get it back.
didn't get it back, but so you may have a reroll.
Here we go then. It can't be worse than that,
Now
surely.
hold on.
Oh,
Just re-roll 3 dice because you got a success
Oh.
on one of them.
okay. Damn. Okay. 3 dice. Ah! No.
Oh, did I hose you with that?
Yeah, you did.
Well, actually, let's go back to the first 3 dice that you rolled on. That was a 4, a 1, and a 16.
A 4, a 1, and a 16.
So
So that would get me to
yeah.
3
So
successes.
I don't want to hose you for having acted in good faith there, because that would be on the, if you re-rolled all of them, it's still enough successes. So I think we see like the bank of lights that have been like in green, like go shift to red and then shift to like another color. And I think we see the, the lockout and the
People on panels around the room are kind of hitting keys.
they're trying to do stuff. And I think we see those replicators will not produce these kinds of goods again.
And instead we begin to see atmosphere being sucked in the top and being reprocessed out the front. I think you'll find that will work now.
We should go.
Yes,
You'll
we
hear
should.
the of the security alarm going off here. Let's come back. I'd like to bring actually Carlton and Maru together, having gotten that information from Ward and Lee. And I want to figure out what you two want to do before we kind of like look at how you want to close the deal. Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
It's good.
So, Captain?
And I have a suggestion. I put it in chat too about an angle we could pursue potentially.
I'll let you take a look at that.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
So how do you want to do this?
We want to set up a meeting with the Glyn.
Okay.
So we'll contact him.
Okay. So
or do we send him a note? Do we want to keep it off open comms or on comms? What do you reckon?
Just be careful. Glyn Jimmier is a her.
I mean, they're all on this are both in place, right? Like, I don't think it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that one of us can just go and ask them to, like the Gulls told your commanding officer told me to keep you informed, Grenadier.
Yeah.
Here I am, mate.
So let's assume you've got a location and meeting room there, and you can call in the 2 Glyns. Again, Glyn Jimia, she impassive, kind of been just soaking everything in, watching everything. And Glenn Adak still kind of angry, like, we've been waiting for hours to hear your results of your work here, Captain. I was told by my new Gull that you would be keeping us in the loop, and I don't feel like you have been.
We're doing that now. We needed time to conclude our investigation. It must be thorough.
Is it possible, out of character, to have like some, not like a huge number, but some additional security to kind of help like get their phasers ready in case suddenly
that would require transporting down some security people, which
would
require lowering your shields.
or some kind of way to kind of help prevent the IDOC from just opening fire on one of us.
I think it's in Starfleet dramatics for you not have those people.
Okay.
But we're going to assume that Latal is back and Ward and Lee can be wherever you want in this. But they're standing by, and Idak goes, "Go on."
Ambassador Jarrow, present the evidence.
Yes,
Very well.
ambassador, he says with a sneer.
And Jaro does like the whole Cardasian sort of ambassadorial thing. And doesn't say thank you, because why would you as a Cardasian? And begins to outlay the evidence. And very matter of factly, not saying in a sneering way, but just basically saying our investigation into this tragic event led us through a number of things, including some members of the local population, including some very interesting communications between down here and ships in orbit. And then, doing the high level thesis, and then going in and saying, and furthermore, our investigation indicates that whatever the name of the ship is that Glenendakis serves on, was involved directly with steering, with guiding these operatives.
And you do mean the communication station, not the ships. Okay.
Yeah. To perform, an act that they were under the perception was to confuse, not to murder. They were being used, and basically pointing out that without saying his name, right? Saying that Glenendakis was responsible here.
Let's have you make that roll to present your case.
Right. And I think the idea here, if I was staging this as a TV show, is to really kind of observe Jamia's reaction throughout this.
Okay. What do you want to roll this with to give your presentation? And you who wants to be assisting with the visual aid stuff? Captain? Okay.
Cool.
And Lee, Ward, are you there, or do you come in with the Bajoran traders at some point, just to kind of add to the atmosphere?
Yeah,
I mean,
his hand on one of their shoulders.
I think we have said that, regardless of their intent, maybe one of these one of these Bajorans might have to come under both injustice, right? But he's there, and Edak will know that he has been communicating, right? So, a threatening witness, right?
So that will increase the lower the difficulty here.
Who doesn't say anything, but just stands there.
Okay. So Jara, what do you want to roll this with?
So I think reason to lay out the case.
Okay.
And then I think I keep going back to the same stats. Would command be more appropriate?
I think a command is perfect for this.
Yeah, because I think I'm trying to command their attention through the details.
So that'd be a 12.
Yeah.
Still a point of determination. Do you want to spend your determination beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you've got 2 successes already.
Okay.
And then roll with reason plus command, and then we'll have Captain Carlton roll a d20.
Would one of my focuses be appropriate here?
Like diplomacy. Though your stat is your discipline is a 1, so it doesn't really impact.
Okay.
But let's say if you roll 2d20 looking for 12s.
And then would any of my other talents be applicable here? I know that my suspicion by nature might be applicable as a reaction.
Oh yeah, I'll let you re-roll a die. I like that. So let's have you roll 2d20.
Okay. 2d20. Here we go. I got a 7 and a 14.
Okay, so you may re-roll one of those dice.
Okay. Do I just click on one?
So what you do is you take the roll down to a 1d20 and roll it.
Oh, okay. All right, let's do that. I got 13.
Okay. So you've got 2 successes from the termination spend. Mm-hmm. Captain Carlton.
No, 19 there.
19 there. I think there is this is you're kind of watching, and I think Idak kind of continues to sit back and listen. He definitely gets less and less animated, like he's gotten colder throughout this. And I think that I'm going to spend my threat. And I think there is a bit where you see Idak kind of looking around, and you see him maybe shift a little, like maybe he's going to go for something. And I think you will see the blast of a Cardasian disruptor fire out from the other side of the room and hit Idak square in the chest. And you'll see him look at all of you like he was still kind of in the midst of, how do I deal with the Federation? How do I talk to them? And I think you'll see that Jamia is standing there with the disruptor as the Glenn's head hits the table. And she will go, "Thank you all very much. That case was stated eloquently, Ambassador Meru, if that is your title. I think I finally remembered where I've seen you before. Captain Carlton."
I'm sure our paths will cross again, Glenn.
I will speak with the gull and calm his nerves. We had indications that someone among our late gull staff was working with Abothans in an economic sense, trading Cardasian technology for money and skimming off the top here. I will make sure that the ships withdraw. Does that seem equitable to conclude these matters such that my empire no longer need be involved in this situation?
You have saved your empire face. You have served them well, Glyn. Let us both withdraw from this situation with no light being cast upon us.
Absolutely. And she'll touch her badge and she'll say, "Gull, Jimia to the Chemcat, one to beam up."
They didn't take the Bajoran with them?
No.
Ooh.
They don't care. They have done what needed to be
Exactly.
done here. And I think the Bajoran was standing at the back, and there are a number of Abothans there. I think we also have the Abothan rebels and the Abothan local government there. And the Abothan elder is like, "Captain, we have to protest that." And they kind of look like they want to say something about the sabotage to the replicators.
That was it's a diplomatic matter. I'm sure everybody's covered by diplomatic immunity, so you're very limited in what you can do here, Elder.
Captain, I'd like at this point to apologize if I've done something wrong, but I think any inquiry will demonstrate that I simply returned the technology to the state in which it was delivered. I'm very sorry if I wasn't supposed to do that.
No, I think you've performed admirably. Yes, we had to return that technology to the way it was. That is part of the deal of how the Federation gave it to you. Unless you want us to withdraw it totally.
Captain Carlton, your permission to be on my planet is withdrawn. Take your people and your shuttle and leave.
Gladly. Kintsugi, shuttlecraft returning.
I think there'll be a bit as you all are coming down there that you will see that Gardner will kind of approach you and will say, "Can I go? Can you get me out of here?"
I presume you're free of your contract. Wink, wink.
I think so. I just want to see Bajor one more time before I go.
I think Jaro comes over and says, according to procedure, you have to say, gives like the actual, like I seek asylum or whatever it is. And then we'll gladly take them, like almost like symbolically, like step over here across this invisible line and you're okay.
Yeah. And he will grab a couple of the youths there to bring along. And I think that's our kind of cut from the scene on the planet as the shuttlecraft takes off. Let's do our end of episode scene calling. Like we get back up on the ship, we see the ship in orbit, we see the Cardasian ships peel off with our FX budget, and we see everyone up there. Let's start with Latal. Latal, what's the scene we see of you here kind of at the end of episode in the catch your breath wrap up bit for the show?
I think I'm having a chat with the emergency bartending hologram about the argument is about what is the right thing to do in certain circumstances.
I'm only a bartender, but here's what I think.
Cut.
What about for you, Ensign Ward? What's the thing we see here in the end of episode? A moment of your time, or someone you're talking to, or what?
I wonder if our two ensigns are exchanging notes on their say exciting showdown. Maybe something. I mean, it's what Lee signed up for, I guess, but it's a bit new for Ward.
I guess you're used to being behind the cockpit, right, Ward?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you did warn me that you should. The only thing worse for a Cardassian, the only people who were bigger enemies to the Cardasians than the Federation were the other Cardassians. So yeah, I'd always make sure to don't stand in front of anyone. Don't turn your back on one of them for a while. Seems like a good plan. Because that's how they treat each other.
Anything for a promotion, huh?
Well, you're the one with the bridge crew designs. Can you imagine having, but those are both things that get me, having an implant inside you, being hooked up to a network? Shudders.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Captain Carlton, I wanted to yours, but I think we're actually going to start out with a moment, and then you can call yours of your first officer there saying, so we have preliminaries subject to your approval with promotion for Ensign Ward.
Agreed.
All right. I'll leave that to you to inform her of that.
Certainly.
And then what's the scene you want to call here? What do you want to do? Do you want to do that, or do you want to do something else?
No, I'll lean into that. Well presented. I think we will have all ship's crew less essential crew. In a big, it's got to be the shuttle bay. That's where we always do this shiz.
Right.
So yeah, I think we will have a promotion ceremony, and yeah, I think we'll have a swathe of a few people going through, but the last one and the biggest promotion. So there'd be some non-commissioned promotions, and then for hard work done, Ward, you are now elevated to the rank of lieutenant.
Probably Lieutenant Junior, but Ward, how do you react to that?
I mean, I presume this is like a surprise party. I was in the shuttle bay doing some maintenance on the shuttle, right? And all of a sudden, 300 people file in. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, surprised a bit. I mean, especially given what you just said to Lee, anything for a promotion. I mean, looking for the Federation version of the candid camera,
Absolutely. And Lee, what's your reaction when your roommate gets promoted?
I think Lee's just 100%, supportive, basically. Probably jokes about that. Like, seeing you didn't even have to kill anyone yet. There's only one captain's seat, remember?
And then what do we see of either Lee or our security officer here in this end bit?
I think that I was wondering, well, yeah, let's have it with I think Lieutenant Vate and Captain Carlton. I think it's just I think you played that well, sir. The Cardasians, they've always got wheels within wheels. I was certain it was going to be a member of the Obsidian Order, but anytime we can come ahead of their plots, it's a victory for Starfleet.
Totally agreed, and I knew it was a good thing early on to tap into that that communications relay.
Yeah,
that's what we had to do.
Well, it comes in handy having friends in high places sometimes.
Indeed,
anyway,
it does.
Lee picked this up on the planet. I wondered if you'd care to join with me. And pulls out a bottle of Romulan brandy.
Definitely. I didn't quite get to enjoy my last glass of that.
Yeah.
Nice. And then Jaro, this has been quite a caught between two worlds. It played into your strengths, but there's also the Bajorans and the Cardasians. So what is it we see for you as sort of the end bit of this episode?
So I think you see a few shots here and there, coming down and celebrating and, congratulating Ward on the promotion and making the rounds, making sure everyone who was on the mission, probably even following up with Latal and everyone, make sure that they're doing okay, medically and whatnot. And seeing off the gardener and the youths on a shuttle, presumably heading off towards Bajor. I think the last thing, sort of the moment that gets dwelled on, is returning back to I think her quarters. We see her quarters for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
They're very sparse. And there's probably there's this altar area with half of it Bajor and half of it Cardasian. And I think she goes in there and she's wearing her medical uniform. She goes there, kind of unzips it a little bit, and kind of lights some incense and cracks a branch, and then pulls out from nearby but underneath a picture of her mother and Glyn Jamia from years ago. And we just get this picture of her intently focusing on the relationship of those two, and then putting that photograph into the flame and holding it as it burns.
Nice. Good visual for the ending. That is our episode. That is our show. Next two will be our season finisher for this. So we'll come back. David, are you available for those 2 episodes?
Yes, I should
Okay.
be.
I just want to make sure on that for my planning. I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. Obviously, some kind of space combat next time, and I kind of know what it's going to be since I've put it off for that long. That's one of the things that's on the table, so you don't need to say it. But let me start with you, Latal.
Mysteries are always tricky, and I thought you managed that really well, Lowell. I thought you scattered enough breadcrumbs to keep us wondering, and then helped us identify the right breadcrumbs. And I thought Captain Carlton, after what I thought was a bizarre first half of this mission, where he was, just going off on one sometimes. He turns the medical chief petty officer into the ambassador. I mean, none of that made command sense. And yet, strangely, it all came together. I'm pleased to see that Astrid Ward has got some promotion. I think that Adira Lee might feel rather hard done by. Certainly, Commander Latal valued Lee's immediate action to support him. So thank you for that, because it would have been embarrassing to run out of breath on my own. And I love the Sherlock Mind Palace that is Jaru Mero. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was good.
Anything wishes wise?
You're going to deliver that.
Okay. And then Ensign Ward. Sorry, Lieutenant Junior Ward.
I'll have to change all that paperwork now.
Yes.
Great session. I think the knives came out as expected, where the Cardasians were involved, though we were left on tenterhooks there to see exactly how that panned out. And I think everyone pulled at the thread, in their own ways. And I guess with a mystery with only a couple of columns supporting it and 5 players, again, Lowell, I think you managed us. We all got a little bit of the spotlight there. So yeah, it was a good session.
Anything wishes wise?
I'm not sure. Was anything else to say? I mean, a wish for myself. This is the second episode in a row where I've held off on spending my determination for the final crescendo and then not have anything to spend it on. So next time I'm just going to spend it early. And,
you should always spend it early. Spend it early. Spend it fully. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
You don't need to have that when the end comes. That's my feeling.
So,
all right, Captain Carlton.
Really good, Lowell. I mean, the system I don't think is particularly well designed for investigation, but ran really well. Some stages I actually didn't have a clue, but that's perfectly fine. I've got 4 people around me that do. Mm-hmm. That's the point of leadership. And everybody played. There was some good individual character play out there, so I don't want to waste time, but it was all good to see the characters developing more and more, people going off in sort of various angles. Just a fun game to play in. It's always enjoyable with you, Lowell, and this group, so good evening spent. That's why I like it.
I like Star Trek. There's something about its classic approach and a little bit of positivity. So I do dig that. Anything wishes wise?
Wish wise, I would really like by next week that Will has watched Star Trek 2. That's my wish. Pirate or not pirate, I don't care, Will.
So that brings us naturally to Will.
Well, okay. I'm not going to promise anything, but yeah. No, I had a great time in the session. I really enjoyed that it was resolved with the Cardasians. I really like that point. It expands like the enemy, kind of thing. Shows their wheels within wheels within wheels, and that like some of it's not against us necessarily in any moment or time or place. And I thought with the involvement of Jamia really fleshed that out, and that Jarrow's like ritual bit at the end and the memories and it all, that was a connection that I'd remembered the second you said it, but the whole way through I'd forgotten about it, right? And then suddenly it had this significance, and I thought that was a really good Star Trek moment. I thought it was really fun to do the investigation, not so much in giving us clues as to what happened necessarily throughout, but for exploring the story of the episode. Like we're looking at different things, we're learning more about the Abothans, because doing a Star Trek investigation requires you to work out what the world is like around you. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be like, well, they're the cops and this is a corrupt whatever, right? Like you need to know, what's the Abothan society based upon, and what are their historical grievances, and how do you tie that into intergalactic politics? I love that the Tal solved it by fixing it. So that's very Star Trek. Putting DRM on the replicators.
Yes, ironically.
Yes, yeah. And another thing that I really enjoyed was seeing Carlton's laying down some authority as the Federation. With the Cardasians, with the Abothans. I really enjoyed that as that was a Picard moment to me. Yeah. Wishes. It sounds like you're going to deliver on my major one, which is, I just realized the one thing that we haven't had throughout the whole series, which is the one thing that Star Trek has in common with every other science fiction series, and so it doesn't do it that often, is a direct conflict. Everything that we've faced and fought and overcome and everything is all, we've played very much that Federation, finding the third way through something. But occasionally, you do have to shoot down a Klingon bird of prey or something like that,
Absolutely.
And maybe a last wish is something that I might have more put on the table. Personally, I'd be interested in extending Lee's Borg nanoprobe aspect a little further as maybe like a side thing. So maybe I don't need it to be like a focus thing, but maybe a scene of like our Lieutenant Tratix Wan, our medical officer or something, like talking about how Lee's situation's getting worse or complicated or whatever, right?
Oh, I like that. That's a good B plot. Yeah.
Yeah. But just because I'm a bit cautious about the side characters, about taking too much ownership of them, you know what I mean?
I think that sets an interesting B plot challenge for our medical people and our science people, if that's happening. So yeah, I always like to find those B plots. So I'll try and remember that, so we can kind of have that start before the credits thing. Nice.
And just like Star Trek, they had them on a few times as an extra, and then they were like, right, how do we forgot about that storyline, quickly, let's bring it back. It's a situation.
Oh no, Barclay's seeing weird things in the transporter. There's that guy again.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, those are mine. Thanks.
Perfect. And last but not least, Jarrow.
Yeah, this was a great session with all the setup from the previous one. And I mean, Lowell, you did great. And I really agreed with the comment that like the mystery exploration intervened. Like it wasn't just a mystery. It was like understanding and seeing the development of these characters, of the world, and how Starfleet interacts with them and the cultures. So really great job there. The captain, we've got an amazing captain, I think. I'm just really floored whenever we see the captain action. And I'm really glad we were able to see Ward do more in this episode than I saw last time. And just there were some really great character moments with Ward and Lee, with the Bajorans, with Latal and the Bothan. Like there was great like inner character sort of things. And it just really ate it up. It was just fantastic. And I loved all the opportunities you gave me to play in this space out of my depth, and yet also like deeply into it. So it was great. For wishes, I'm just gonna type that in there. My wishes are for space, science, characters, and wonder. That positive quality. So like it's already been referenced, like with Lee or with whoever, like some inner character stuff with our crew, but also like a bit of that wonder, positive thinking about the universe and space.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I will say one wish for myself is I wish I had said a Bothan out loud and realized how much it sounds like the Star Wars thing. Like that's a thing I always tell myself is always say your names out loud in case they sound vile or echo or sound like an unpleasant word or sound like something else. And I fell down on that one. So that's one of those goofy little GMing things. Thank you all very much. I'm going to stop the recording.